So everyone, I am still on vacation. Don't worry, it's winding down, but I'm currently here in a lovely villa countryside looking spot, chilling and vibing as it were. And I figured I would sit here and ramble about something cool that was just dropped, which is of course the deep dive on Crimson Desert from Pearl Abyss, which is the next massive game that's coming out in just a handful of weeks in the middle of March. I got to talk about it. Again, people are surprised that I like to talk about games and do these types of things on my vacations, but it's because I genuinely love talking about games. And so when I don't get to, I go stir crazy and I lose my mind. I genuinely love it. And so it's like how I relax and how I vibe. So I went out while the kids are napping. I have the laundry running right now and I have about 42 minutes to kill until the laundry is done. So that's why I'm here. And it just so happens that Pearl Abyss just dropped a gameplay narrative, basically a game deep dive on Crimson Desert. And I figured I would share my thoughts because wow. So the first thing that stood out to me is that in this trailer, they are framing the narrative much more aggressively as a focus, which is important because up until now, we've really gotten not much of anything. In fact, the last time we got a lot of information about the story was actually back with the original announcement trailer when this was announced to be an MMO RPG, which is funny that that's the last time we got a deep dive on characters and everything. But as far as I'm aware, that's the last time we actually heard a lot about it. So they are choosing to go this route for the final push of marketing. And I don't blame them because it looks pretty good. They discussed how there's 3 playable characters now officially confirmed. It's something that was alluded to previously when this was an open world MMO, but now it's confirmed that there are 3 playable characters, not just Cliff, and they each have their own different play styles with combat, combos, all sorts of stuff like that. They also mentioned that the world is going to have 5 separate regions. So what's kind of crazy is that the Crimson Desert, the titular area of the game, is actually just one of those 5 areas, which I didn't even think about. But the desert itself is just one of those regions. And I think that this is actually because originally when the game was an MMO, they were going to release just the Crimson Desert part. And then every season or annual update, there would be a new region added, eventually leading to the 5 regions that are in the game now. But when they decided to go single player with it, they just put all of those regions in and kept working on the game and developing those regions while they did that. So now we just get all of those regions in the game, which is wild. And when you pair this with the announcement that Will from Pearl Abyss made when he was on the New Game Plus showcase with me and Luality, he actually announced at that time that they are going to have a map that's larger than Red Dead Redemption 2's map, and that is larger than the overworld and everything of Skyrim, actually twice as big if I recall correctly, which is wild. Forgive me, there's a helicopter going over top. They've come for me. And I think this just reaffirms something that we've heard a few times and that a lot of people have expressed, which is the suspicion and skepticism around Crimson Desert, because so much of it just sounds too good to be true. What do you mean it's bigger than Red Dead 2's map? How is that even possible? It's bigger than Skyrim, and this is a first-time attempt from a studio at a single-player open-world action adventure game. What are we doing? It's crazy. But this is the bizarre thing about Crimson Desert, is that every time they make a bold, sweeping statement or claim like this, they then back it up by showing actual gameplay. And they bring the game to shows like Summer Games Fest or Gamescom or Tokyo Game Show. And they actually let people play it and try it and show them, nope, this is actually what the game is. And so it's just yeah, it seems too good to be true, but that's just what it is. It's crazy. Paired with the sheer scale of the map, they also mentioned that the exploration is going to include things like hidden caves, all sorts of puzzles and brain-melting teasers for you to experiment with in the Sky Islands, which is called the Abyss. It's that kind of floating island dimension above the base game's map. And they want NPCs and other quest givers to have quests that don't just focus on the standard open world tropes like go here, kill the monster, but they want to also mix in things like helping this NPC get his cart back to town because it broke down and things like that to make the world feel more relatable and less one note. The other thing that was really notable about what they showed was just how freaking polished everything looked. One of the frustrations a lot of people have had is that some of the gameplay footage going back a year or two looked pretty blurry, especially the console gameplay. But this gameplay that they showed off, I think is running on PC, and boy, does it look good. Ooh, baby. Listen, your game doesn't have to be 4K 120 hertz to be playable and enjoyable. It doesn't. Like, I can play it even if it runs at 30 if it's a third-person adventure game. I played Red Dead 2 back in the day that way. I played Skyrim back in the day, The Witcher 3 back in the day at those frame rates. It's doable. But I would greatly prefer it if it ran at higher resolutions and higher frame rates as well. That's my preference. It's not a deal breaker for most games. FPS games, it's a deal breaker for me because it makes me sick. But most games, especially third-person adventure ones, I can get over the problem. I just realized there's a holly plant right next to me. I'm like hella allergic to holly, the spiky green leaf. I'm like, it's bad. I can't touch that or I'm going to be a disaster. What was I talking about? Sorry. Oh yeah, I was just saying that the high resolution, high frame rate is a want, not a need for me. I can get away with lower frame rates and stuff, but it'd be nice to have the high resolution, the higher frame rates. And what I've seen here is that they actually seem to have pulled it off because it's pretty, man. It's real pretty. We don't know final stats on what they're actually shooting for in terms of resolution targets, frame rate targets, and things like that for the final launch version of the game. I did ask Will about that in our New Game Plus interview, and he mentioned that all of that is still in flux. Back when I interviewed him, the game was not gold yet. And so he explained that once they hit gold and our content complete, they can then go back in, make the target for frame rates and resolutions and things like that, and then they can pursue those once they've reached that milestone of development. But until they reach that point, it's all in flux. But now that they've hit that milestone of development, they can actually start to fine-tune it, and I would not be surprised if in the next handful of weeks we hear specific targets, information about what resolution and frame rates will be achievable on what consoles, etc., etc. But what I will say is that what we saw in that gameplay, oh baby, it looked good. I mean, if that's what it's running on, like a 3080 or something, it's pretty. Man, it's real pretty. Now, part of this could just be the shininess of a showcase where they can really carefully select the gameplay footage that they show you and specifically edit it in a way that makes it appealing. But based on my understanding of what they're actually doing here, I don't think it's just marketing theatrics. You see, they're using a proprietary engine for this game, which means it's not like UE5 slop or anything. There's another helicopter. Or probably the same one. There it goes. I don't know if you can hear it, but there you go. But what I was saying is that they're using a proprietary engine. So they're using a tool set that they specifically built for this game from the ground up. It was originally designed for like the big MMOs that they were making. But over the last 5 to 6 years, as they settled on the idea of Crimson Desert being a single-player game, they started to fine-tune it for that. Now, even still, I don't have like secret knowledge or anything, but I will let you in on a rumor, okay? I don't know if this is true, but it's been speculated. People think there might actually be a co-op or multiplayer mode coming to Crimson Desert sometime after launch, like 6 months to a year after launch. We don't know if that's true. It's suspected. There's been some suggestions by like the CEO and some of the finance people at their earnings calls. So I don't even know if like the marketing people would be willing to talk about that, but there's rumblings and suggestions where some of those high up people have suggested that maybe there's like a big upcoming something to Crimson Desert that should open it to a whole new audience and stuff like that. That if you read between the lines, it sounds like multiplayer is coming, but time will tell. I don't know, but the point is the engine that they have for Crimson Desert is unlike pretty much anything else in the market because it has been built from the ground up for Crimson Desert as a video game. And at the same time, it's also been built up in tandem with what the Black Desert Online crew is doing. So it's just kind of like the perfect melding of tools for massive games that are built on a scale that we don't typically see. One of the other interesting little tidbits I heard from somebody working at Pearl Abyss on Crimson Desert is that some studios, they work on games and they have like a month timeline for a patch or an update. And so they'll start working on it and then, you know, they go through the waves of verification and checking and all that. But it's about a month out before you actually get the big patch that goes out to Steam and all the consoles and stuff. That's not how it works at Pearl Abyss. They've actually built out their systems specifically for the MMO games that they make. So if they discover a bug on Monday, they can work their asses off, have it in review just a few days later for fixing, and then they can send that update out by Friday to fix it. Apparently, the way they work is just so freakishly efficient because they're used to working on such a huge time scale with the MMO games that they make that it's just kind of different, you know? And that's what makes it tough to describe and discuss when it comes to Crimson Desert, is that it's just freaking different, dude. Like, there's not really another game or studio quite like them that's doing what they're doing. Typically, MMO studios make MMOs, and that's all they ever make. And typically, single-player studios just make single-player games, and that's all they ever make. But with Crimson Desert, it's a weird melding of the two, where you get the expertise of one, and then the team that has expanded from the other. I think it's very reasonable for people to be skeptical and suspicious of this, because naturally, it's a brand new game, it's a new studio, effectively, so we just don't know what they're capable of, at least not yet. I do think that there's reason to believe that they actually might pull it off. They have a lot of confidence, and the fact that they've been so transparent with creators and journalists goes a long way. I mean, we've all seen the YouTube comments when people are like, looks like a fake game, I bet it's all fake, it's like none of it's real. But bro, like, they've let people play it. I've played it multiple times, and it just is that crazy. Like, if you're wondering how do they get 200 NPCs on screen for a big siege battle thing, I don't know how they do it, but they did it. I played it, and it's crazy. So I don't think it's fair to be cynical or anything about that stuff, but I do think it is fair to bring up questions around things like the story, which is something we haven't heard a lot about. And I could totally see a situation where we get the final game, and then just like narratively, it's super dry, or maybe the characters are just unlikable, or even like really cringy. I could see that type of thing happening. It happens in MMOs all of the freaking time, okay? The reason that I think most people are going to connect with Crimson Desert, though, is not because of the story. If the story's good, that's a nice positive plus, right? But I think that this is a game that is going to be much more Breath of the Wild than it is Witcher 3. You know what I'm saying? I think it's going to be much more about gameplay dynamism and mechanics interchanging and interlocking, really compelling puzzles and stuff like that. I think that's what's going to separate it and make it phenomenal for people. I don't think it's going to be the story. The story, if that's great, it's a plus, but I think that you should go into this expecting it to be a gameplay first kind of title and a story second. It doesn't mean the story is going to be bad. It just means that their primary focus has gone to gameplay. And that's what's happened with many phenomenal games over the years, like Breath of the Wild, for example, Tears of the Kingdom. Those are like the two big open world games. Even something like Elden Ring. I know some people get triggered when I say Elden Ring doesn't have a tremendous story, but I'll stand by it, man. I don't care. Cancel me. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. Cancel me. I don't care. And listen, I'm sure some of you guys are hearing me say that it's going to be a narrative second, gameplay first kind of title. And you're going, thank God, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. Maybe that is you, in which case, awesome. And maybe if you were hoping that this was going to be like CDPR levels of storytelling and you're disappointed, I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong for you or wrong with you for wanting that. But I would still encourage you to keep an open mind about this, because I really, really think that the next 10 years of gaming are going to be defined not by the studios you know of now, but by the studios you've never heard of. The brand new ones, and the studios from like China and South Korea and Japan. These studios that have a ton of amazing talent and previously have only really messed with the big MMO games, the mobile games, that type of thing. But now, for the first time in a long time, if ever, they are going to start experimenting with genres and areas of the industry that they previously have not touched. And I think it's going to really wake some people up at just like how many amazingly talented people there are out there. I think it's going to be pretty phenomenal. And I can't wait to see what they actually pull off, because I think they might. Crimson Desert is promising a lot. And the number one thing people say about it is that it looks too good to be true, which is a great problem to have, as I've said before, if you can actually deliver on it. If people think your game looks too good to be true and you actually are that and your game is real, you just won Game of the Year. If you disappoint people and it's not that good, then we have a problem, right? But as far as I can tell, they actually have what they say they have, and it's just ridiculous. So keep an eye on Crimson Desert. I think it's going to pop off. As always, you should wait for reviews for any type of game, period. But I think they're confident, and I think they have reason to be confident. I can't wait to see more. And this reveal trailer just, I mean, even more so. I guess it's an overview trailer, whatever you want to call it. I think it's just instilling even more confidence in people now, and it's wild. It's wild to see. I also think it's amazing because people forget, but this game was announced, I believe, in 2019 as an MMO. And for a lot of people, this has been the game they've been watching for years and years and years and years. And so people in the comments of this like drop were saying, Jesus, Crimson Desert before GTA 6, and they're like shell shocked by it. But it's because like it actually is coming before GTA 6. People never thought that would happen, but it actually is. And we're actually going to be getting it in March. It's gone gold 2 months before the actual launch, which is awesome. A lot of games, it's like a month beforehand, unless they're doing a very, very prolonged polishing phase. Like I've read some stuff suggesting that Rockstar does prolonged polishing, and so they will try to go gold way before, a month before launch. But a lot of studios, it's pretty close down to the wire when they reach content complete. But Crimson Desert, they're just spending 2 months polishing and polishing and polishing, and they have hundreds of developers working on it. Call me optimistic, cautiously optimistic. That's where I'm at with it. Never get hyped, because hype makes you stupid, but as of right now, I think it's fair to be excited, because based on what I've seen, they are cooking, and I can't wait to see more. But let me know what you think of all of this in the comment section below. I can't wait to get back. I mean, I'm in a beautiful, beautiful place, and I'm very thankful to be here. But I also am a bit of a workaholic, so I go stir crazy, as you can tell right now, when I don't have things to busy myself with. So when it's the kids' nap time and I have free time, I could go and lay on a sun tanning chair, I think is what they're called, or I could do this, and I'd much rather do this. So thank you for indulging me and listening. I appreciate the gosh darn heck out of every single one of you. I'll be back soon. Can't wait to stream again. We should have a lot of cool stuff to discuss and handle. Monday, we should have something pretty cool happen as well. Can't wait to share that with you guys. But until then, my friends, much love. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, bye-bye.